Hello, my witches, wizards, and warlocks. Welcome back to part 2 of the drinking horns. This week we're going to make a leather frog holster for the drinking horns, as well as wax line the insides to make them safe for drinking out of. Now, due to time restraints, I had to just focus on one horn for the frog, mostly because I have some other more intricate ideas that I want to do for the other 2 horns, which we might do in a different video, or I just might do out of boredom at like 4 in the morning. So we'll see. All right, we're going to start off by getting all of our tools and materials set up and ready. I like using a thicker leather for specifically, because I feel like it makes it a little bit sturdier and a little bit more rigid. We're going to get all of our tooling tools while we desperately figure out which ones we want to use. I'm going to start off by measuring the diameter of the horn, and then we're going to transfer it onto a piece of paper to make a pattern. This is where it's important to always measure twice and cut once, because leather is expensive and you don't want to mess up. And then we're going to transfer that to the leather. And then we're going to bevel the edges on the leather strips, make them look nice and pretty. And then I'm just marking out where I want to separate sections for my tooling. And we're going to go ahead and punch out the holes for the stitching. Now in tooling, it's always important to wet your leather first. Don't completely soak it, but wet it enough so that way when you make that imprint or that indentation with the tool, it sticks and it holds. If you just did it on the dry leather, it would still transfer, but you'd have to hit a lot harder on the hammer, and it wouldn't be as detailed or as in-depth. And occasionally you might have to retouch with some water just to kind of re-soak it a little bit, because it can dry out.
Then we're just going to put some dye on it. This helps to protect the leather from the elements for the most part, but also makes it look nice and pretty. And then we're just going to stitch it up. I didn't use any fancy stitching techniques. I just did a basic stitch. And now I'm just marking the holes for the rivets. I like to use Chicago screws just because I can adjust them later. Still looks like a rivet, but then the back side of it is a screw head. Here I braided some thin leather together for the strap, just to add some little detail. And then I'm just gonna sew it in on the inside. Lastly, we need to wax dip it. We're going to do this by using a technique called a double boiler, where you boil a pot of water and then put a bowl in that pot, so that way you're not putting the second bowl directly on the heat, which could potentially burn whatever you have inside of it. And then we just put the beeswax inside of it and let it melt down fully. And then we're just going to pour it into the horn. I was pouring very sparingly because I was trying to make it stretch over 3 horns. But the easiest method for this is to just pour it all in, basically fill it to the brim, and then pour that out, and that'll create a nice even coat. And then you can go back and do it multiple times depending on how thick you want that layer of wax on the inside. And the whole point of this process is to create kind of a protective barrier between whatever liquid or whatever you have in it from the raw horn sheath. And it's very important as well to wear gloves or use a towel. This is boiling hot wax, so it gets the horn very, very hot. And then lastly, when you're happy with the thickness on the inside, you dip the tip in, and this creates a kind of a seal around the tip of it to kind of help prevent anything from possibly getting in between the two layers.
Now, I'm going to pause right here. And this was where I was going to jump in and explain to you how flammable beeswax really is. It's flammable, very flammable. But instead of me explaining it, I'm just going to let this next part keep playing, and I'm just going to show you. Now, this could have been a lot worse. I know a lot of you were hoping it would be, you damn animals. But all jokes aside, beeswax is very flammable. Be careful, be safe, and don't do this. Thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, smack that like button. If you disliked it, double tap that dislike button. Subscribe if you're not already a part of the Wizards Guild. I had a lot of fun doing these. I plan on doing a lot more in the future. They came out pretty well. They could have been better, but you know, nothing's perfect. If you liked this Let's Build, comment down below if you've got any ideas on what you want to see next, possible future ones. But all in all, these were a lot of fun. I didn't get to be as intricate as I wanted to with the shots and the B-roll due to time restraints. But it's a perfect example of why it's way more important to create and finish something opposed to obsessing over the fine details and not finishing it at all. So all in all, it was fun. Happy with it. Let's do it again. Have a wonderful day. And always remember, I forgot what we're going to remember, but go make something. Have fun. Peace out. Until next time.